Hey, what's up, my units? I am back here with another video. I'm here with Nathan and KxngTerrell here. Y'all say hi.
Yo, good.
This is ShotClockTalks. Obviously Tristan is not here. He's out for personal reasons. I don't know if my mic is actually picking up here. So, we're actually just gonna jump in. Nathan, start off with your take. Let's get it, baby. Yeah.
So, for relevant news, I wanted to talk about Gregg Poppovich and his health issues that he's been having. So, obviously, if y'all have seen the news, Poppovich had a stroke. This is huge news for me and CJ, especially because, I mean, as you can probably tell by my backdrop and as I make it obvious on my channel, I am a Spurs fan. I'm born and raised in San Antonio. Always got to go for the home team that I grew up on. CJ, not born and raised in San Antonio, but grew up being a Kawhi fan, huge Spurs fan as well. So this impacts us a lot. And Popovich, you can love or hate the Spurs, but you cannot deny Pop's impact that he has made for the franchise and for basketball as a whole. And he's coached players like David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, all of the big three, as well as Kawhi and now Wemby. But with this big of a health issue, people made jokes before this season like Pop's stress is too high, he's going to have a heart attack. A heart attack might have even been better because a stroke is affecting your mental capacities. Oh, I just hit my mic there. Sorry. A stroke is affecting your mental capacities and facilities. And so a lot of people, myself included, have theorized that maybe this is marking the end of Popovich's career because if his mental faculties are starting to wane, then he's not going to be able to make coaching decisions. And with all of that, I will leave you all with a question, which is, who do you think should take up the mantle, or who would you like to take up the mantle, ignoring who coaches are signed to now, ignoring contracts? If you could theoretically pick anyone out of thin air to coach for the Spurs and take up his legacy, who would it be? I have my pick, but I want to hear from you guys.
Very understandable here. So guys, I'm actually liking the new interim head coach who's actually there in absence of Popovich being gone. But honestly, if it would just be fitting, it would just I know Tim Duncan tried it and he just he didn't really want to try it anymore. But I will love Tim Duncan to just become a player's coach. He just seemed like a chill guy, fundamental guy. You know, he has more knowledge of the game and aspects of the game that will boost Wemby's level, especially inside the post. I know he's not a post player. Popovich and all of them, they're just like, yo, go shoot some threes. We're going to develop your three-pointer. Then you're going to start going inside. But imagine if Tim Duncan was with him all the time. Those post moves, all the post touch, that soft touch, that would just make Wemby one of the top 5 players of all time already. And
I'm not the biggest guy when it comes to coach selection and knowing all the coaches, but I will. There's 2 things that I want to note on. Whoever's collective decision it was to make Wemby the shooter that he is right now, he made a good business decision with that. I'm not gonna lie. I was hating on the fact that he wasn't getting no boards. I was hating parlay reasons. But ain't nobody stopping that 3-point. That's number 1. Number 2, whoever was the one that said Jeremy Sohan ain't point guard no more, give him a raise. Give him a raise, because I'm sick of Sohan. Get him out of here. Whoever's doing that, and as long as it's no, if they could just develop a little more into what they're already developing. If that's CJ, you said that's the interim head coach. Is he the one that's taking that position right now, when it comes to rotations and stuff?
Yeah. For now, but he is looking amazing right now. He got wait, we're pretty much even. We're 0.5, right, Nathan?
I can look it up right now.
Okay.
And all I'm saying is, if that's him making these decisions, he can give him the will. Let him cook for a little bit.
We're
really
7 and 8.
The front office decisions on those kind of bases, though. I don't know
when it comes to the front office for Wemby shooting and rotation.
Well, I mean, they all come collectively together just to have one decision.
I wanted to go ahead and give my take for coach. So I'm actually going to disagree with you, CJ. I don't think Tim Duncan would be the best selection just because I don't think that Tim Duncan has that that motivation to be coach.
Understandable.
Again, like he tried coaching for a little bit, didn't like it, and left. I don't think he has as much heart in it as Poppovich has. If I could make a decision on who I could pick out of anybody to be coach, I think right now it would be Mike Brown. There are numerous NBA coaches that have worked under Poppovich. I put it in a video at one point, but I don't have the stat off the top of my head right now. But I think it was something like 22 out of the 30 teams right now have a coach that worked with Poppovich at one point. So that shows his impact that he has on coaching. But Mike Brown, I think, is one of the coaches that is best leading by Popovich's example right now. He talks highly of De'Aaron Fox the same way that Tim Duncan did, that Pop did with Tim Duncan. He makes references to that a lot, saying that he saw that Tim Duncan allowed himself to be coached by Pop rather than having a big ego. And he talks highly of De'Aaron Fox, saying that De'Aaron Fox is a leader that takes in the criticism, takes in the feedback, and allows himself to be coached. And that allows his leadership, that leadership allows the other people on the team to be coached rather than having the idea that they're too good to be coached. You know, they're better than that. De'Aaron Fox allows the rest of the team to be coached and take in Mike Brown's coaching. And again, Mike Brown really takes in those type of ideas of teamwork, leadership that Poppovich instilled in his team. And also just obviously before they got DeRozan and the system kind of got thrown off, I made a comparison before that I really love the way the Kings team is playing, and it really reminds me of the 2014 Spurs, where nowadays so many teams have positionless basketball, but now the Kings really have a point guard, a shooting guard position, a small forward position. Everybody knows their role and is executing to the best of their ability in that role, and really playing team basketball in a system with pass first, look for the best shot, play as a team, which is really lost in a lot of other teams. So I would really want Mike Brown to continue what Pop started with that.
Pop has made such a notable difference in the game of basketball to you can't even hate him for real.
Yeah, he was there. Look, he had 22 years, and in those 20 years, well, I don't know how long. Wait, hold on. I do know how long pause.
Longer than 22 years.
Slow your roll,
it was before we were born.
Gregg Poppovich. He started coaching before we was even a concept. That is crazy to say. That's crazy to even to think about. 20 years of straight 50+ win teams. That's insane. I don't think we'll ever have another Coach Pop, man. That's longevity.
Remember, he broke the win record too.
The way how he got Tim Duncan his rings, the way how he vitalized Tim Duncan career, the way how there's negatives in it too, like low management and everything, but the way how he used Tim Duncan, stretch out his career while having other stars to shine while under Tim Duncan, while him still being the main guy, that's something that it takes elite coaching. And he did that for 20 years, and that's amazing.
I want to introduce the topic because I actually did a poll of this for my community. So we had a debate a little bit off camera, and we wanted to save it for on camera. So I did a poll on my on my YouTube channel saying, "Do you believe Wilt scored 100 points?" It got 87 votes, 64% yes, fuck the doubters, 9% said no, and that leaves 26% saying maybe or unsure. So a vast majority still say yes. But there are obviously still some people that think that it never happened. Terrell, being known as the troll of the group, you claim that it didn't happen, so I want to know your reasoning.
That shit did not happen, bro. That shit did not happen. There's so much footage of so many different things from even before the date of that game, and you're telling me something as historic as that? There's no footage? At all? Not even a picture? Nah, bro. Nah. Yo, talking about some... And has 100 written right here. That's the best we got? That's it. No, that shit did not happen. I don't care what anybody says.
All right, you ready?
Go, you can bring out whatever you want. Like,
all right,
He
let's
put
get
out
into
glasses.
it. I'm about to.
Peter
Oh, man,
Parker
he put out
glasses,
the
bro. Get him
glasses.
out of here, bro.
All right. So cameras were especially uncommon at the time. I did a interview with JX Remy on my channel. He actually is a cameraman for Orlando, and he talks about even now it's hard to get cameras because it was one or a few camera companies that own all of the cameras for sports and entertainment. So if there's a huge hockey game, huge baseball game going on, you might not get recording equipment because that game is going to take precedent. This game happened in Hershey, and it was against the Knicks, who were the worst seeded team at the time. So you may say like, oh, we have recordings of baseball games. We have recordings of hockey games. Yes, because those were bigger sports at the time. The NBA was still building up. And this was a game that wasn't even played at the home stadium.
Hey,
and you may say like,
before you keep going.
so again, you may say we have recordings of baseball games. We have recordings of hockey games, things like that. But that's because those sports were much larger at the time. They weren't going to have a camera go to a Hershey game. And of course that leads to speculation, and you may have the rebuttal of like, oh, well, why did they play the game in Hershey then? That was all part of the plan and everything like that. Well, that's not uncommon even in today's NBA. We play games in Mexico City. We play games in London. We had the Orlando bubble where all the games had to happen in Orlando. That is not a one anomaly that it is so speculative that it doesn't happen, that it sticks out. Games, especially at that time, because again, NBA was not as big, and they had to also rival the ABA at the time. They had to expand the audience. They had to go out and reach people in different arenas. The Spurs that we were just talking about play games in Austin in order to try and get an audience there and promote their G League teams. It is a common practice even in today's NBA to play games that outside the team stadium. And again, going back to the camera itself, the Ampex, again, I did some research on this shit because I wanted to fucking rebuttal you. The Ampex VR 1000 camera, one of the first videotape recorders, cost around $50,000 in the early 1960s. That's nearly $500,000 in today's money. The cameras were also far less portable, meaning that, again, the smaller venues like Hershey would not have them, and they were more likely to be permanently set up in cities like Boston or LA that already had a established fan base. With the league income only being about 10 to 20 million estimated on the time, basing that number off of the 32 million reported revenue in 1970 and backtracking, that means that a whole 0.5% of the NBA's revenue would have to go to each camera. If you were to put a camera in every single stadium, that obviously would add up the percentage as well. And that's not even including paying for the people to handle the camera, the technical crew members, the broadcasting rights, and things like that. Because the cameras were so expensive, there were different recording methods that were used. Live broadcasting took a different setup than recording. So games were often live broadcast rather than recorded. And even when they were recorded, they were often on tape delay as well. I did a whole video on that where it wasn't until the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson era that the NBA Finals, the biggest games of the NBA, were showed live on television. Before Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, the finals wouldn't even be played until 4 hours after the game had started at like 11 p.m., 11:30. Let me compose myself here. Again, talking about the Knicks and why this game wasn't that important. It was a smaller arena team, which would lead to less cameras, and there was no speculation going into the game that it was going to be that important a game because it was against the Knicks, which were the worst team in the league at that point. And not only was it against the worst seeded team, the Knicks were drastically injured at this point. They had their third strings playing against Wilt at this point. This would be like playing the second strings of the fucking 2024 Pistons. Nobody wants to watch the 73-9 Warriors go up against the 2024 Pistons. That's why it wasn't.
I want to see Curry hit 200. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to see Curry from deep.
And to show
like, come on,
and
now.
to show how much I know about Wilt as well, there was to add to the reason why it may not have been recorded either. There was speculation that Wilt wasn't even going to be at that game. So it wouldn't have even been a game because Wilt was known for his partying lifestyle. And there were reports that Wilt got so hungover the night before that he nearly missed the train to Hershey in the morning at 8 in the morning. He nearly wasn't even at the game. The Wilt had multiple 70-point games, 80-point games by this point. And again, to the Warriors, this was like playing middle schoolers. So not that important of a game. To say that something did not happen simply because there is no recording of it is to discredit not just this game, but huge amounts of history. Are you saying that the pyramids were never built because huge parts of history did not happen because we don't have recording? We only have textbooks. It is on par with claiming the moon landing is fake, the earth is flat, or saying that jet fuel does not melt steel beams.
We got video footage of the moon landing. We got that.
To have
the moon landing and not Wilt Chamberlain it.
Yeah, but people claim that's fake. People claim that's edited. So again, I bring up the earth being flat. No, I bring up the earth being flat thing because people say, the earth is flat. And the big rebuttal to that is that in order for the earth to be flat and everybody to be lying about it, all of these governments would have to come together and collectively agree to the lie. And it is the same thing with Wilt's 100-point game. You are saying that thousands of eyewitnesses, all of the Knicks players, which were reportedly embarrassed and frustrated with him scoring 100, all the Knicks GMs, all the Knicks executives, all the Warriors executives, every single person in the NBA, all the scorekeepers, everything, like all the people that are in charge of record keeping, everybody that was in the stands as a normal fan, everybody that listened to that radio broadcast you say is fake, all of the Knicks players that were scored against, all collectively had to agree to this lie and persist it for years. And not one person who was at the game, played against Wilt, any of that came out and said, no, it didn't really happen. And again, on top of everything else, and you already rebutted this point, I'll give you this, but I'll end it off by saying again, on top of everything else, even with cameras being uncommon, radio was the number one source of media, and there are multiple sources, such as YouTube, that have copies of the radio broadcast. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and you're cooked, buddy.
Cooked, I have one rebuttal. I've been waiting for this entire time. Basically, you're saying that going to games with cameras, right, was uncommon because of how, one, expensive, and two, how big they were, basically, correct?
A portable handheld, because I have a feeling I know where you're going with this, and I have a whole TikTok about this Wilt 100-point thing issue, and I talked about that specifically. A handheld camera, if you're going to say that, a fan could have been in the stands and tried to get it.
Oh, that's not at all my point.
A handheld camera was not available until 1972. 3 years, I think, because didn't he do it in 1969? So 3 years after he scored 100 points. Nobody in the stands would have had the access to a camera to bring into the game.
It literally, I would say though, I'm on both sides where Terrell, it kind of makes sense because like how is in one news headline, that's the only thing. But like when you put it in that sense and you just have every like all the knowledge and everything, it kind of makes sense why nobody really kind of took a picture or anything.
Bro,
there was a scores keeper who came out. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very vague on this, but he was like, yeah, he's seen it with his own eyes, seeing Wilt score 100. But Terrell, what you like
hyperbole, bro.
The Knicks were
Not
falling.
only-
Wilt even came out and said that he only scored 100 because, again, this was third string worst team.
He could have been hungover and drunk. He may have not even remembered.
No, he came
I
out.
probably had 100.
No, he came out and said that he only scored 100 because they knew he was bad at free throws, and so they consistently fouled him to get him to the free throw line. He said if they, quote, let him play normally and just let him score, he could have had over 130.
I'm not buying that, bro. CJ, I have the clip, right? Go ahead and plug this in right now. They have, if it was so hard to get cameras, this, that, and a third, so, like, spontaneously into games like this, there is literal game footage of Bill Russell and fucking Wilt fighting. So you're telling me they can get that spontaneously, but not the one game in history that has changed the dynamics of basketball that not a singular player ever can beat?
That's Bill versus Wilt. That's gonna be the largest game of the season. The fuck you mean?
It don't matter what it is. It don't.
Yes, it does. It so obviously does. I said it's Wilt versus the worst team in the league, and you're comparing that to Wilt versus Bill Russell, my guy.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Oh
there's so many games.
There's no shot you just compared.
An additional point. That's an additional point that there is access to cameras back then. It doesn't matter. You're telling me out of an entire stadium, not a singular person had the money for a camera. I understand how expensive. I'm not saying everybody's walking around with a camera, but think about it. Let's say you're going to a stadium right now, right? Packed. Let's say you're at fucking Cowboy Stadium or some shit, right? Mm-hmm. And you see a UFO in the fucking sky back then, right? You're telling me the odds of that many thousands of seats, that many people, not one person had a camera. Like that's like well, not today because like cameras is more common. But like the actual statistical odds of there being that many people there to witness this and not a singular person had the money, like
you're comparing
like not one. And I'm just saying, like, I can tell you a tree fell outside of my house right now and I have no evidence, and you're gonna say, well, he said it, and he's like, there's nobody discrediting it, so it probably happened. That is how lies are so easily able to sift through things and be altered in history. Like, just because somebody said it happened does not mean it happened. There's no evidence.
I got 3 rebuttals. I got 3 rebuttals, and then we can end this topic, CJ. I'll get the last word in with my 3 rebuttals. Okay. You're comparing the opportunity to a camera of Wilt and the third string worst team to Bill Russell versus Wilt. As I said earlier, the Celtics already had the reputation to have cameras there. It's obvious that Bill Russell is going to have cameras in the stadium, but Wilt playing against the worst team in the league is far less likely. You literally came out and said your words, those are comparable. They are not. Okay? In that same sense of making things comparable, you are comparing a 1960s decade arena in a city that is not even a full NBA city at that point. This was in Hershey with a capacity probably somewhere between 5 and 15,000 to a 2024 Cowboys arena that has, I don't know the number, probably 40,000 or more seats. So again, that incomparable. For your last point, which is, again, probably the main point that people make. Oh, they simply said it happened, so it had to happen. The comparison that you made was you can say that a tree fell outside of your house, right? And nobody is discrediting you, and you're just saying the tree fell, so it had to have fallen. That is you saying that it fell. Now imagine that everybody in your neighborhood, everybody in your zip code, everybody in your town said that tree fell. Adds more credibility to it, right? Again, my point earlier was it's similar to the earth is flat, where everybody would have to come together and agree to this lie. All the Knicks fans, all of the people in the stands, all of the scorekeepers, all the Knicks executives in front office, all the Warriors front office, and not just the Warriors and the Knicks. everybody who's in a huge position in the NBA, like the commissioner, again, the scores keepers, all of these people in the NBA had to come together and agree to this lie. And yet, not one person came out and said it was fake.
Oh, hey man, all I'm saying is it's not the first.
CJ,
it's not the first
make
time.
the poll. That's all I gotta say.
It's not the first time. That's how Vegas is a thing. And that we all know Vegas is rigged. We all know that, but ain't nobody come out and said it yet.
We're going to talk about the NBA viewership. If you don't know, NBA viewership has been declining, especially over these years. LeBron, Curry, KD, they are very close to retiring. The new guys are coming in, and they just don't have that aura like how Kobe, even LeBron, right? LeBron, all those other guys, they made the league. And it's kind of seeming like nobody really want to watch the league anymore. So, actually, I'm going to ask y'all for y'all takes, then I'm going to give my take on it.
There has been so many people that have spoken out about it. I sent something in the chat before that Gilbert Arenas even came out and spoke out about this because, he's a retired player. He doesn't have to worry about getting fined or anything. And he straight up said that, like, nobody's going to fucking buy all those streaming services. All the games are on different fucking platforms. And I saw a comment I think it was on that post about Gilbert Arenas where he said, somebody commented, "It's facts. Why am I in Dallas and I can't watch a Mavericks game?" Like, not only do you have to get all the fucking streaming services, half the time it's not even your local fucking team. It'll be like, again, I'll be in San Antonio and I'll get the fucking Boston versus 76ers game or some shit versus San Antonio versus Houston. You know what I mean? Like, I want the Texas rivalry type shit. On top of that, it leads to a bigger point that people have made, which, not to get political and talk all about like capitalism and shit, but they don't care about their fans. They care about money. Because that point has been made with the whole NBA on TNT shit, where they weren't willing to bring back NBA on TNT.
Fuck that T, sis.
On top of that, there's also a whole separate point, which we can get into probably in another episode, but people just hate the officiating and the refs. People don't want to see a game that just feels like it's rigged. There was literally a clip that was on TikTok, and I'm surprised there hasn't been a whole news story about it or it hasn't gone viral, where I think it was a Knicks player. I think it was Josh Hart, I believe, but I could be wrong. Josh Hart went down on a basket, and he was like smack talking the ref and stuff. And the ref, you can literally hear in the mic, the ref says, "Okay, that's a foul on you." And I'm not talking about a tech. I'm not talking about a tech for smack talking the ref. No. They called an actual like shooting foul on Josh Hart because he smack talked the ref. That's literal proof right there that they're fucking fixing the games based on how much they don't like the player.
My bad, but I think that was Buddy Hield that happened to.
Yeah, it might have been Buddy Hield of the Warriors.
Yeah.
Again, I could have, like I said, I could have had the player wrong, but yeah, I think it was Buddy Hield where like the fucking Buddy Hield was like smack talking the ref, and they were like, "Yeah, that's a foul now." And it wasn't a tech; it was like an actual like fucking free throw.
It's too much ref bias. Yeah. Too much ref bias.
Yeah. I made a fucking tweet a while back where there was somebody reffing the Celtics finals, not the most recent one. So what was the other one? Versus the Warriors, I think, where they were reffing the Celtics versus Warriors finals. Obviously, the Warriors ended up winning anyway, but a tweet went viral later of his wife and kids fucking repping Celtics gear and like all this shit and like saying how much they love Boston and the Celtics, and he's reffing the game. It's like, do they not fucking do background checks and shit? Like, what is going on? It's just blatant like bias.
Yeah. CJ Who Talks. I always have been having a problem with these refs and officiating and how everything is going out. There are so many clips. There is actually so many. There was actually 3 game winners where it shouldn't even have counted. They was all traveling out of bounds, all in the same week. These refs, they get coddled too much, very too much. where the NBA is actually like extending their help to them. I will dab on that too, probably on our own personal video, but we're running out of time here. What I was the people, very like the people they bring back into the NBA, like Miles Bridges, for example. We all seen that video. We all seen that girl. We all see what the kid was saying. Then you got, Kevin Porter Jr. and all these other dudes. They're out here being a menace. I mean, I won't say a menace for like all the time, but the menace for that moment. But still, there was no real disciplinary action, and they hold the same levels where a person like LaMelo or somebody, they, what I'm saying, like they just have the same levels where it shouldn't be like that. Because if you telling me Miles Bridges, he did what he did, he didn't even serve, like, what, did he serve any jail time for real?
I don't think so, nah.
I think he just paid money.
Yeah, he just paid.
Bail and probation.
That's what you do when you're rich, bro.
But imagine you're like a real person, you're reading this. You don't want to support that. You don't want to support anything. Then what you said about it being on different platforms. That is so real. I'm watching a game. I'm like, damn, why can't I watch a Hawks game? I'm in Atlanta.